Hi, it's Mona again from Back Pain Movement Makers, and today's day 19. And today I'm going to channel the highest consciousness again so we can get some questions from them so we can identify our roadblocks to the third of the 10 daily holistic healing habits. And the third habit is about give of yourself to the world. So I shouldn't be talking too much today, so I should just channel the highest consciousness instead. Okay? Roadblocks. What are roadblocks anyway? Roadblocks are your limiting beliefs, nothing else. There are no challenges that you cannot overcome if we are talking about what you really are. If we are talking about what you really are, then you should be able to understand that death is not an obstacle. It's not a roadblock. Death is just a change in your physical appearance. That is not a threat to you. And this is very important to begin to reflect upon, that you were created by the highest consciousness, by the love force itself. And you could call this by any name that suits you. But when you were created, you were perfect. Since the highest consciousness cannot create anything than perfect. And you believe that you could change that you could do things or not do things that will harm you or anyone else in some way. And that is not true. The true you, the consciousness that is you with your experiences and the inner part of you that is unconditional love only, can never be threatened by anything. And the problem is that the egoic mind, tells you some other story. It tells you a story about that you are never enough, you never do enough, and you never have enough. The ego also tells you that you are under threat in so many ways, but you're not. And fear is one of the two feelings that exists. Really, it is not fear anyway. You could look upon it like this. You feel love or the absence of love. An absence of love is fear. You could try to go back to any other feeling: anger, disappointment, anxiety, negativity, worry, resentment. Every feeling of those, every negative feeling is linked back to fear, which is linked to absence of love. So the only solution that you ever have to focus on is love. Love is the answer to everything. This does not mean that you should be a doormat and let other people take advantage of you. That is not loving. It's not loving towards yourself, neither to the other one. That is not love at all. So this the The real big thing about this is that fear will try to talk you out of anything that you have not done before. The ego loves to have control over you, and everything that is familiar is something that the ego wants you to go on doing or having or being, because it's easier to predict you, what you're going to do, and control you if you're not doing something new. And everything new will create fear in you to begin with, because it's not familiar. That is the only reason. So, what you have to do with this to find your roadblocks is to identify what variation of fear, what feeling of fear. Is it shame? Is it guilt? Is it resentment? Is it anger? Is it bitterness? Is it you are not enough? What is it that prevents you from taking action when you have identified what you want to give of to the world? And as we said yesterday, you cannot help to give of yourself with doing something that you love and sharing that with others. If you do something that you absolutely love and you share that with someone or somebody else or a lot of people, that does not matter. If you do that, you cannot help sharing of giving of yourself. And that is the whole point here. You were created so the highest consciousness could experience itself and life itself through you. That is why everyone is irreplaceable here. Everyone is here for a reason. And every reason is okay. But the main thing that goes back to everyone and everything is that you are made out of love. You are made for love. And doing something that you love, that brings you joy, freedom, happiness, fulfillment, that is loving. And when you do that and share that with others, doesn't matter if you share it with a pet, you are raising your vibration. And the more you give of yourself, the better you will feel. So, first of all, the first question is, what variation of fear is your most common feeling? That is the first question. The other question is, what happens when you are taken over by this feeling? What happens? What thoughts goes on autopilot? What what thought patterns? What happens in your body? What do you say to yourself? And what do you do? If you can begin, and these questions, we won't repeat them because you can go back and pause and then write the questions down. We recommend you doing that, because if you take time to sit down in a quiet place and you listen to these questions, you write them down, you take time to identify the answers to them, you will have a kind of roadmap to go around your roadblocks. Okay, so first the question, what variation of fear do you live in mostly? What thoughts comes up then? What thoughts, patterns, what inner dialogues are happening, and what are you doing, and also what's happening in the body? When you become conscious about this, you could realize, okay, now the feeling has taken over the steering wheel. So now I have to take it back, the control. I have to take the control back. And I do that by becoming still and ask for help. And as we've said before, your free will is holy. So we cannot help you that much. Of course, we try to help you all the time, but your free will is holy. So if you have decided that you should feel sorry for selves, you should talk bad things to yourselves. We cannot do that much, but if you become conscious about what kind of program you are taken over by, and could identify that, and then stop and become still and ask for help. And the only thing you have to do is, please, can you help me to see that this problem is already solved? Or you could take Mona's favorite right now is, thank you, highest consciousness, for helping me to experience my original energy. And immediately after that, she has practiced this quite some time now. Quite some time, that means, let's say 1.5 weeks or something like that. Immediately, that raises her vibration. Because when she's asked for help, we could help her. And she is not questioning that she will get help. She believes in her heart and in her whole being that she will get help immediately. And of course, sometimes it's harder to get the energy skyrocketing, but most often we should say that her vibration goes up immediately, and not just small measurements, but huge steps. And that is something that everyone can practice. After you have written down these questions, next thing is to focus on what would be the absolute worst result that would happen if you begun to give of yourself. What would that be? And don't just come to say ridicule. That is a victim position thinking. And you are not victims. You choose to be. And you also have to remember this, when you have a thought, an idea about what you are, immediately it will show up a situation, a manifestation that you could have as a relative thing to relate to you, to what you are. So for example, if a rude person comes up to you, that is a situation where you could choose with your own free will to either react to that or try to be in your unconditional love identity. We could call it identity, and think, okay, this rude person or rude behavior, because no person is rude, but this rude and unconscious behavior is giving me a chance to choose who I'd like to be according to that. And this is like pop-ups on when you're on the internet. For example, for if or in the computer world, if something, do you like a secure system? Are you sure that? Are you really sure that you want to do this? So as soon as you have discovered a good thing about you, you should not be sad and surprised either that something comes up that usually put you down. It's like a pop-up. You have chosen to let go, for example, of a limiting belief. And as soon as you have chosen to have a new opinion, a new identity according to that, you have chosen to choose another way. You should not be surprised and you should not be sad and depressed about that something occurs almost immediately after that. It's like a pop-up. Are you really sure that you want to have this new opinion about yourself? And that is the way the laws of the spiritual realm that the world is in. This is the law, because it's the law of contradiction. So this everything that happens to you that seems bad are really chances for you all to prove to yourself who you really are. And why it feels bad when something, for example, let's say that you have realized that you are not a greedy person. The ego tells you that you are a greedy person, but you have understood that you are not. You have heard it for so many people, or you have really turned the ego off for a while and come to your senses and realized, well, I'm not. I'm a very generous person. Then the pop-up will come. And that could be that something that you have not been generous with before comes up. Like the pop-up, are you really sure? Are you really sure that you are generous? And of course, if you become disappointed and sad because of this, like, well, i- it's no point, because life happens and I am apparently not generous. You should not think like that. It's a chance to choose consciously again and again and again. You choose to remember what you really are all the time. This is why masters don't care that much about giving themselves labels or identity, um, or an identity, because they understand that as long as they are connected to their true self, they don't have to say anything about what they are. They are so present. They are not focusing on what has happened, which identity thinking is all about. And also they are not thinking about what might happen in the future and try to build an identity on that. They are really, really present, and the only thing they are focused on is the present moment. That is why they're not worried. And if something comes up like a challenge, they are more likely to think, "Oh, that's good. That's good." Of course, they don't like challenges uh, if they are really bad, but they have understood that every challenge is another opportunity to show yourself and the rest of the world what you are. And they also try to not label things or situations either. This is good, this is bad, because giving labels and names and identities to everyone and everything, that creates expectations, and expectations are real limiting beliefs in actions. They are like rules. Well, I think you should treat me like this. You should, and I should, and we would, and so on. That is not very good at all. So try to identify what would be your worst nightmare if you begun to do more of what you love and begun to share that with others. What would be the worst thing? And then try to sit down and really meditate on that and see if that is the worst thing. Okay, then you have thought about that. Then you should turn the paper over and write down what could be the best. What could come out of this? And it feels darn negative to you that, for example, a challenge comes up, like a pop-up, and when you have decided to make a change and to choose another behavior, choose new thoughts, new thought patterns, new feelings, and so on. uh, and then this comes up and you feel depressed, overwhelmed, and so on. The reason why you feel those negative feelings when that happens is because you have been given from the highest consciousness your feelings. That is your guidance. You are not feeling bad because of the outer events that are happening. You are feeling bad because you think negative thoughts about yourself. The bad feelings are trying to get you to understand that that is the wrong way. You should not be thinking bad thoughts because that is not what you are. Your normal is to be happy, content, and free, not being depressed, which is now in the Western world more like the new normal. And that is really tragic. And let's say you have decided to show your beautiful paintings that you have never shown anyone before. And you have started an Instagram account, and no one is giving you those comments that you are looking forward to get. Then, if you are focused on not getting attention from everyone else, then that feels bad, of course. But it's not that someone is not liking what you're doing is that, excuse me, it's not, that is not what is causing the negative feelings. Your negative feelings has to do with that you have to have someone liking what you do. But that is BS. No one has to like what you do. It is the form of expressing what you are. And if you do not give up, you go on and on and on and on, someone will find you. Someone will find you that is inspired by you and what you do. Because you cannot give love unconditionally and not receive love unconditionally. We are all the same. We are all one. You are all one with me, with us. So if you give of yourself to the world, you begin to affect the vibration, the collective vibration on the planet. And that will help to transform the world and the humanity. And when you begin to go back to unconditional love more and more, you will feel better. The negative feelings won't come that often. And as soon as you have, for example, it is shame. That is your most common negative feelings. Because someone has been made fun of you when you showed your art when you were a kid, for example. So you're most afraid of being ridiculed again. And when you could identify, when you have the answers to these questions, we recommend that you read these answers and what could be the worst thing that could happen, but also what could be the best thing. And the best thing is that you will begin your journey to go back to yourself, to remember what you are, and begin to healing for good and living a fulfilled life. That is what is going to happen if you try to take control back over your mind. That is what's going to happen. So we recommend that you read the answer to the questions, the worst scenario, the best scenario. And as soon as you begin to get conscious about, now I'm beginning to think like that, now I'm beginning to feel like that, then you could stop yourself and then try to have a mantra or something, a prayer or a picture or something that could that could increase your vibration, and then make another choice. Okay? We think this is enough for today. We love you so much. You are here for a reason, and that is to share your unique combination of experiences, feelings, talents, joys, happy thoughts. Express who you are. No one is like you, and you're needed here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here at all. And by the way, remember that you cannot do something to threaten your own existence. You were made perfect from the beginning, and nothing can threaten that not you nor anyone else. Nothing that you have done and nothing that someone else has done to you could change that. That is a fact. That is truth. The truth. Okay? See you some other day. Bye from us. Okay. That is what the highest consciousness had to say about roadblocks. And I've heard the acronym of fear, the one, and then I don't think, I'm not thinking of fuck everything and run. That is quite funny, but that is not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking more about false evidence appearing real, because the thoughts that the egos create, they are just BS. But it's darn darn hard to get out of that. Okay. Tomorrow, we are going to talk a little bit about what giving of ourselves has to do with our quality of life. So that is tomorrow. Okay. Then it's day 20. Okay. Have a lovely day, evening, night, wherever you are. And as I've said before, give us some love if you like this. And if someone else might benefit, well, give them a chance to experience this as well. Have a lovely day, evening, morning, night, whatever. See you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.